Here is a quiet language that the world listens to, even when you do not speak. Every gesture, every pause, every choice you make whispers the story of who you are and what you value. And often, without uttering a single word, you teach people how to see you, how to honor you, and how to measure your worth. Today, I invite you to journey with me through 7 behaviors, subtle, powerful, and transformative, that silently reveal to the world the treasure of your being. For it is not in loud declarations, but in the steady, unwavering rhythm of your life that true worth is recognized. There comes a moment in every life when a person realizes that the world is always watching, even in the quietest hours. Not watching to judge every step, but watching to learn how to treat you. And the first lesson they study is not written in your words, but in the way you carry yourself through ordinary days. Self-respect has a voice that travels farther than any declaration. It is present in the calm way you stand, the dignity with which you speak, and the gentle certainty that you are not here by accident, but by purpose. When you honor yourself, even softly, the world begins to listen. Self-respect is not loud pride, nor is it the stubborn armor of ego. It is something far deeper and steadier. It is the quiet decision to treat your own heart as something sacred. When you refuse to laugh at jokes that wound your spirit, when you walk away from places that shrink your light, when you choose patience with yourself instead of cruelty, you are sending a message without raising your voice. You are telling the world that your soul deserves care. And people notice. They notice the way you protect your peace, the way you refuse to trade your dignity for approval. Many people believe respect must be demanded, that it must be argued for, proven, or forced into existence. But the truth is gentler and stronger at the same time. Respect often follows the trail of self-respect. When you treat your time as valuable, others begin to see it that way. When you speak to yourself with kindness instead of shame, the atmosphere around you changes. It becomes clear that you understand your own worth, and that understanding quietly teaches others where the line is drawn. There is power in the way you show up for your own life, the way you keep promises to yourself, the way you continue walking forward even when doubt taps on your shoulder. Each of those moments builds a silent reputation. People may never hear the conversations you have with your own spirit, but they will feel the results of them. They will see a person who does not bend easily to disrespect, a person who carries themselves with a calm strength that cannot be easily shaken. And the beautiful truth is this: self-respect does not separate you from others, it elevates the space around you. When you honor yourself, you remind the people watching that they too deserve honor. Your example becomes permission for others to rise. Your quiet confidence becomes a light in rooms where people have forgotten their own value. So remember, your worth is not something you must shout to the world. It is something you live, in the gentle firmness of your boundaries, in the grace with which you protect your peace, in the steady love you offer yourself day after day. And as you walk through life carrying that quiet dignity, people will learn, without a single speech, that you know exactly who you are, and that your worth is not a question open for debate. It is a truth already written in the way you live. There is a quiet strength in a person who understands where their spirit begins and where it must not be stepped upon. Many people move through life believing that to be kind, they must always say yes, always bend, always stretch themselves thin, so others may stand comfortably. But kindness that erases the self is not kindness at all. It is exhaustion wearing a polite smile. The truth is that the most peaceful souls are often the ones who have learned the courage to draw a gentle line and say, "This is where my peace lives." Boundaries are often misunderstood. Some believe they are cold walls that shut people out, barriers that separate hearts and create distance. But true boundaries are not built to keep love away. They are built to protect the space where love can grow without harm. When you honor your limits, you are not rejecting others. You are teaching them how to walk beside you without trampling your spirit. You are quietly showing them that your presence in their life is valuable, and valuable things deserve care. There is wisdom in knowing that not every request deserves your energy, not every argument deserves your voice, and not every invitation deserves your time. When you choose carefully where your attention goes, you are telling the world that your life is not an open field where anyone may wander freely. It is a garden, and gardens require gates, not to keep beauty hidden, but to make sure that what grows inside is respected. And something remarkable happens when you begin to live this way. The people who truly value you will not be offended by your boundaries. In fact, they will honor them. They will understand that your limits are not signs of distance, but signs of clarity. They will see that you are not pushing them away. You are simply making sure that your connection stands on healthy ground. Because relationships that survive without boundaries often do so by quietly draining one soul to feed another. There is also a quiet dignity in the way boundaries protect your voice. When you know what you will accept and what you will not, you walk through life with a steadier step. You no longer feel the need to explain your worth again and again. Your choices begin to speak for you. When something disrespects your peace, you step away. When something honors your spirit, you welcome it. And through these small, consistent actions, people begin to understand the value of your presence. The beautiful truth is that boundaries do not weaken connection, they strengthen it. They allow people to meet the real you instead of the exhausted version that has been stretched too far. They create relationships built on respect instead of silent sacrifice. And when others see that you protect your peace with calm confidence, they learn something powerful without you ever announcing it. They learn that your kindness is genuine, but it is not limitless at the cost of your soul. They learn that your heart is open, but it is also wise. And most importantly, they learn that your worth is not something that can be taken lightly, because you carry it with quiet care everywhere you go. There is something powerful about a person who shows up, not just once when the sun is shining and the road is easy, but again and again when the days are ordinary and the effort goes unseen. Consistency is a quiet promise kept over time. It is not the loud excitement of a single grand moment, but the steady rhythm of small actions repeated with care. And in that rhythm, people begin to recognize something rare and beautiful, a person whose character does not change with the wind. Many people talk about their dreams, their goals, and the kind of person they hope to become. Words can be inspiring, but the world listens most closely to what we do repeatedly. When you show up for your responsibilities, when you keep the commitments you make, when you continue to move forward even when no applause is waiting, you are shaping a reputation that cannot easily be questioned. Day by day, action by action, you are teaching people that your presence is dependable and your spirit is steady. Consistency does not mean perfection. It does not mean that every step will be flawless or that every effort will succeed. Life is far too human for that. But consistency means you return to the path even after stumbling. It means you rise after discouragement and try again with quiet determination. People notice this more than you may realize. They see the courage it takes to continue when excitement fades and discipline must carry the weight. There is dignity in the person who keeps showing up, the student who continues learning long after others have lost interest, the friend who remains present in both celebration and difficulty, the individual who works patiently toward a dream while the world rushes toward shortcuts. These are the moments where character is formed, not in dramatic displays, but in faithful persistence. And over time, something remarkable begins to happen. The world starts to trust you, not because you demanded recognition, but because your actions created a pattern that others could rely on. People feel safe placing responsibility in the hands of someone who proves again and again that they will not disappear when things become challenging. Your consistency becomes a quiet assurance that your word holds meaning. More importantly, consistency transforms the relationship you have with yourself. Each time you keep a promise to your own heart, you strengthen your confidence. Each time you return to your purpose despite doubt, you remind yourself that your strength is deeper than temporary emotion. Slowly, you begin to see that discipline is not a burden, it is a form of self respect. And when people watch a life lived with this kind of steady devotion, they learn something without needing to be told. They learn that your worth is not built on sudden bursts of effort or empty declarations. It is built on the quiet reliability of your character. It is built on the truth that when you say you will be there, whether for your dreams, your responsibilities, or the people you care about, you mean it. In a world that often celebrates quick success and fleeting attention, the person who remains consistent becomes something rare. And rarity has its own kind of power, because through patience, persistence, and unwavering effort, you show everyone around you that true strength is not found in moments of brilliance alone, but in the courage to keep going long after the excitement fades. There is a quiet truth about the world that many people only discover with time. Long before anyone forms an opinion about you, they have already been watching what you do. Your actions arrive in the room before your name does. They travel through conversations, through memories, through the small impressions you leave in the lives of others. And without a single announcement, those actions begin to shape the story people tell themselves about who you are. A reputation is rarely built in grand moments. It is not created by one impressive speech or one extraordinary day. It is formed slowly through ordinary choices that repeat themselves again and again. The way you treat someone when there is nothing to gain. The patience you show when things do not go your way. The honesty you hold on to even when it would be easier to look away. These quiet moments carry more weight than we often realize. They become the footprints that people follow when they try to understand your character. Grace is one of those actions that speaks loudly without raising its voice. When you respond to difficulty with calm instead of anger, when you face misunderstanding with dignity instead of bitterness, people notice. They may not always say it aloud, but they feel the difference. Grace does not mean weakness, and it does not mean accepting what is wrong. It means carrying yourself with a kind of strength that refuses to let the world's rough edges turn your heart into something harsh. Effort also leaves a lasting mark. There is something deeply respected about a person who tries wholeheartedly, even when success is uncertain. Effort reveals sincerity. It shows that you care enough to invest your time, your energy, and your focus into what matters. Whether it is your work, your dreams, or the people you stand beside, the willingness to give your best becomes visible over time. People recognize dedication, and they remember those who approach life with purpose instead of indifference. Integrity, perhaps more than anything else, forms the backbone of reputation. Integrity is the quiet agreement between your values and your behavior. It is choosing the honest path when shortcuts whisper tempting promises. It is standing by your principles even when no one is watching closely. A person with integrity does not shift their character depending on the crowd they stand in. They remain the same in private as they are in public, and that consistency creates trust. Trust grows slowly, like a tree whose roots dig deep beneath the surface. Each action you take adds another layer to that foundation. A promise kept strengthens it. A kind gesture expands it. A moment of courage reinforces it. And over time, people begin to recognize something steady and dependable in your presence. They learn that what they see in you today will likely remain tomorrow. The beautiful thing about this truth is that it places power in your hands every single day. You do not have to chase reputation or argue for respect. You simply live in alignment with the person you choose to be. Your actions will carry that message farther than your words ever could. And as those actions continue to speak for you, people will come to understand something important. They will see that your worth is not built on appearances or temporary praise. It is built on the quiet harmony between what you believe and how you live. And that kind of reputation, born from grace, effort, and integrity, becomes a legacy that speaks long after the moment has passed. There is a quiet beauty in a grateful heart. It is not loud, it does not demand attention, and yet its presence changes the atmosphere of every room it enters. Gratitude has a way of softening the sharp edges of life and reminding us that even in ordinary moments, there is something worthy of appreciation. When a person learns to notice the small blessings woven into each day, their spirit begins to shine with a calm and steady light that others cannot help but feel. Gratitude is not simply saying thank you when something good happens. It is a deeper awareness, a gentle recognition that life is filled with gifts both large and small. The warmth of a kind word, the comfort of a familiar voice, the quiet peace of a morning that begins with hope. These things often pass unnoticed by those who rush through life searching for something bigger, but the grateful soul pauses long enough to see them, and in that pause, a powerful transformation begins. When you live with gratitude, you carry a certain grace that people recognize. You become someone who does not take kindness for granted, someone who understands the value of effort, care, and presence. When others offer their time, their support, or even a simple smile, you acknowledge it with sincerity. And that acknowledgement does more than express appreciation. It builds connection. It reminds people that their actions matter, that their goodness is seen. In a world where many people are quick to criticize and slow to appreciate, gratitude becomes a rare and beautiful quality. It tells the world that you are not defined by what you lack, but by the abundance you are willing to recognize. This perspective changes the way you move through life. Instead of constantly chasing validation or comparison, you begin to find fulfillment in what already surrounds you. Gratitude also reveals strength of character. It shows that you have learned to look beyond temporary difficulties and recognize the lessons hidden within them. Even in challenging moments, a grateful person can find something that nourishes the soul: growth, resilience, or a deeper understanding of what truly matters. This does not mean ignoring hardship. It means refusing to let hardship blind you to the good that still exists. And people notice this way of seeing the world. They feel a sense of warmth around someone who appreciates life rather than constantly complaining about it. Your presence becomes uplifting, not because you pretend everything is perfect, but because you choose to recognize what is meaningful. That quiet appreciation has a way of lifting others as well, reminding them to notice the beauty they may have overlooked. The truth is that gratitude magnifies value. When you appreciate people, they feel valued. When you appreciate opportunities, you use them wisely. When you appreciate life itself, you begin to live it more fully. Your awareness of these blessings becomes a silent message to the world that you understand the worth of what you have been given. And through that simple, sincere practice of gratitude, you teach others something profound. You show them that your worth is not measured by what you possess, but by the depth of appreciation you carry within your heart. In that quiet recognition of life's gifts, your presence becomes richer, warmer, and far more meaningful than words alone could ever express. There is a quiet strength in a compassionate heart. In a world that sometimes teaches people to become hard in order to survive, compassion remains a gentle rebellion. It is the choice to see the humanity in others, to recognize their struggles, their hopes, and their silent battles. When you offer kindness where indifference could easily live, you remind the world that goodness has not disappeared. But true compassion is not the act of losing yourself in the service of others. It is the balance of caring deeply while still standing firmly in your own worth. Many people confuse compassion with endless sacrifice. They believe that to be kind they must give until nothing remains, must carry every burden placed upon their shoulders. But compassion without wisdom can slowly drain the spirit. The truth is that genuine kindness does not require you to abandon your own needs. Instead, It invites you to share your strength while protecting the foundation that allows that strength to exist. When you help others from a place of wholeness, your compassion becomes powerful. It is not an act of obligation or guilt, but a sincere offering. A listening ear, a supportive word, a moment of patience for someone who is struggling. These simple gestures can change the direction of a person's day, sometimes even their life. And yet, even as you extend that kindness, you remember that your own peace matters too. There is dignity in a person who can care deeply without allowing their kindness to be taken for granted. When you support someone through a difficult time but still honor your limits, you teach an important lesson. You show that compassion is not weakness, it is strength guided by wisdom. It is the ability to open your heart without allowing the world to empty it. People notice this balance more than you might think. They see someone who is warm but not easily manipulated, generous but not easily drained. Your kindness becomes something sincere and meaningful because it is given freely, not out of pressure or fear of disappointing others. In this way, your compassion carries authenticity, and authenticity always commands respect. There is also a beautiful ripple effect in compassionate actions. When someone experiences genuine kindness, it often awakens the same desire within them. They remember what it felt like to be understood, to be treated with patience and dignity, and slowly that kindness begins to travel from one person to another, shaping the atmosphere of the communities we live in. But compassion also requires courage. It asks you to remain gentle in moments when the world encourages bitterness. It asks you to believe in the goodness of people even after witnessing their flaws. And it asks you to keep your heart open while still honoring the boundaries that protect your well-being. When you live with compassion that does not compromise your self-respect, you send a powerful message without speaking it aloud. You show that strength and kindness are not opposites, they are partners. One gives warmth, the other provides structure. And in that quiet harmony, people begin to understand something important about you. They see that your worth is not measured by how much you sacrifice, but by the depth of care you offer while still standing firmly in your own dignity. Your compassion becomes a reflection of your strength, and your strength becomes the reason your kindness never fades. There is something quietly powerful about a person who understands the value of their time. Time is the one gift that arrives equally to every life, yet it leaves just as quietly, never pausing, never returning. And still, many people give it away carelessly, offering their hours to distractions, to obligations that drain their spirit, or to people who do not truly appreciate its worth. But when someone begins to recognize that their time is sacred, the rhythm of their life begins to change. To honor your time is to honor your life itself. Every moment you spend is a piece of your existence being shaped into memory. When you become mindful of that truth, you begin to choose more carefully where your energy goes. You no longer feel the need to attend every invitation or answer every demand placed upon you. Instead, you start to ask yourself quiet questions. Does this nourish my spirit? Does this move me closer to the life I am trying to build? Does this respect the value of the hours I cannot reclaim? There is a quiet dignity in someone who guards their time with calm intention. It does not mean they are distant or unwilling to help others. It simply means they understand that life is too precious to be scattered in every direction. They offer their presence where it truly matters, to meaningful work, to people who bring sincerity into their lives, and to the dreams that whisper to them in the quiet corners of their heart. When you treat your time as valuable, something interesting begins to happen. Others start to notice. People learn that your hours are not easily taken for granted. They begin to approach your attention with greater respect because they sense that you are not someone who drifts through life without purpose. Your schedule, your focus, and your presence become reflections of your priorities. This lesson does not have to be spoken aloud. It is taught through simple choices. When you step away from conversations that waste your energy, when you decline commitments that do not align with your values, when you dedicate uninterrupted time to the goals that matter deeply to you. Each of these decisions quietly communicates something important. that your life is meaningful and you intend to spend it wisely. Protecting your time also creates space for growth. In the silence that appears when unnecessary distractions fade away, your mind becomes clearer, your creativity awakens, your goals begin to take shape with greater focus. Time that was once scattered becomes time that builds something lasting: knowledge, progress, peace, or purpose. And yet, honoring your time does not mean rushing through life in a constant hurry. In fact, it often brings the opposite. When you choose carefully how you spend your hours, you allow yourself to be more present in the moments that truly matter. Conversations become deeper, work becomes more meaningful, and rest becomes more restorative. People who understand the sacred nature of time carry a quiet confidence. They know that every day is a limited canvas, and they choose their colors with intention. They are not controlled by every demand or expectation that crosses their path. Instead, they move with purpose, guided by the understanding that life is measured not by how busy we appear, but by how wisely we use the moments we are given. And through this gentle discipline, you teach others something profound without ever needing to announce it. You show them that your time has value because you treat it that way. And in learning to respect your time, they begin to respect you as well. There is a quiet power in a person who believes in themselves without needing the world to constantly confirm it. Confidence, in its truest form, does not arrive with noise or grand displays. It moves gently, like a calm river that knows its direction. You can see it in the way someone walks into a room without shrinking their presence, in the way they speak with calm clarity, and in the way they remain steady even when doubt circles around them. True confidence does not beg for attention. It simply exists, and in its quiet existence, it begins to influence the space around it. Many people believe confidence must be loud in order to be real. They imagine it as bold declarations and endless certainty. But genuine self-assurance rarely looks like that. More often, it appears in small, steady moments. It is the courage to share your ideas even when you are unsure of the outcome. It is the willingness to try again after a mistake without allowing embarrassment to silence you. Confidence is not the absence of fear. It is the quiet decision that fear will not decide your path. When a person carries this kind of inner belief, people feel it long before they analyze it. There is a calm steadiness that surrounds someone who trusts their own worth. They do not rush to compare themselves to others, nor do they shrink in the presence of someone else's success. Instead, they understand that every individual walks a different road. This understanding brings peace, and that peace becomes visible in the way they interact with the world. Confidence has a remarkable quality: it spreads. When someone stands firmly in their own value, it often awakens the same strength in others. A confident person does not make people feel smaller, they create space for others to rise. Their belief in themselves becomes an unspoken reminder that self-doubt is not the only voice worth listening to. In their presence, others begin to wonder if they too might be capable of more than they once believed. Respect often follows this quiet confidence, not because it is demanded, but because it is demonstrated. People trust those who trust themselves. They are drawn to individuals who approach life with steady assurance rather than constant hesitation. Confidence suggests reliability, clarity, and the courage to stand by one's values even when circumstances become uncertain. But confidence must always walk hand in hand with humility. The most inspiring self-assurance does not pretend to know everything. It leaves room for learning, for growth, for the wisdom that comes from listening. A confident person understands that strength is not weakened by curiosity or by admitting that there is always more to discover. In fact, this openness makes their confidence even more genuine. Life has a way of testing belief in oneself. There will be moments when criticism arrives, when plans collapse, when the voice of doubt grows louder than comfort. Yet the person who has cultivated quiet confidence does not abandon themselves in those moments. They may stumble, they may question, but they return again and again to the understanding that their worth is not determined by a single failure or the opinion of a passing crowd. And as you move through life with this calm trust in your own spirit, people begin to notice something remarkable. They see someone who does not chase approval, someone who does not bend their identity to fit every expectation. In that quiet certainty, you teach the world a powerful lesson that true confidence does not demand respect, it naturally invites it. And once that kind of confidence takes root, it inspires others to believe in themselves as well.